Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are buckling up for, well, what is probably the most essential conversation happening in paid media right now.
And definitely the most contentious.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're talking about the broad match keyword. For years, broad match was, the boogeyman of Google Ads.
Oh, for sure.
The one setting you didn't touch unless you had a massive budget to burn and, I don't know, enjoyed finding nonsense in your search term reports.
And let's be clear, that historical fear was completely justified. I mean, it wasn't just a feeling.
Right.
Broad match was just notorious for pulling in tons of irrelevant, low-intent traffic. It was all because of its reliance on close variant matching.
So it was going after synonyms, plurals, even just, the general intent.
Exactly. Which often led to a whole lot of wasted ad spend.
And we have hard data on just how bad it was. This isn't just anecdotal.
Oh, we have the receipts. The AdPulse study is really the key here. They analyzed millions and millions of clicks.
And what was the bottom line?
Well, they found that Google Ads could, keep a decent conversion rate on those close variant searches.
Okay, so it wasn't a total disaster on the conversion side.
Not on the rate, no. But the problem was how it got there. It did it by aggressively chasing clicks at almost double the average cost per click of a true exact search.
Double the cost.
Double the cost.
Wow. That's a campaign killer right there.
Precisely. The math was really simple. Double the CPC meant your cost per acquisition, your CPA, was also roughly double.
And your ROAS?
In the basement. Your return on ad spend was roughly half of what it should have been. For a decade, the advice was it was clear. Avoid broad match. Protect your margins.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because the whole premise of our conversation today is that the foundation of that fear, it's basically crumbled.
It has. The game has changed.
We're now seeing that smart bidding updates have given broad match this huge competitive advantage. So much so that maybe it's becoming irresponsible to keep avoiding it.
And this is where it gets really interesting. It's a fundamental shift. The core reason broad match is better now isn't just that it's smarter. It's about access.
Access? Access to what?
Signals. Broad match is the only keyword match type that has permission to use all of the available signals in Google's smart bidding algorithm.
Wait, hold on a second. You're saying if I use phrase match or exact match, I'm restricting the intelligence of my own bidding strategy.
Ah, yes.
That feels like Google is actively kneecapping the classic match types.
They are. And it's by design. The reason is actually technical. Because exact and phrase have to stick to that strict syntax, the word order. They can't really use contextual data that's outside the query itself. Their strictness is their blind spot.
Okay, so what are these critical signals that we're just throwing away when we stick to the old ways?
There are four main ones that phrase and exact are basically blocked from using. First, the influence of other keywords in the same ad group.
So context.
Context. Second, previous user search history. What has this person been looking for before this search? Third, hyper-specific user location data.
And fourth, you said there were four.
And this one is becoming incredibly powerful. The fourth is Google's deep understanding of your landing page content.
Okay, that fourth point is fascinating. So broad match isn't just matching the query to my keyword.
Right.
It's matching the user's intent to the actual solution on my landing page.
Exactly. And the other match types just can't do that as well because their focus is still too narrow, too text-based.
So the whole logic has flipped.
Completely. The old logic was control the keywords. You'd build these massive suffocating keyword lists. The new logic is control the signals. If you want your TCPA or TRAS to actually work, you have to give it the most signal density possible.
And broad match is the only key that unlocks that door.
It's the only key.
So let's connect this algorithmic shift to how real people are behaving, because technology changes us. We're seeing AI overviews, Gemini in search. How is AI changing the way people search?
The shift is huge. AI is basically training users to engage in what we're now calling conversational search.
Meaning they're not using those short, robotic phrases anymore.
Not as much, no. They're treating the search bar like a really smart assistant. They ask it full questions.
Give us the classic before and after.
The old way was, physical therapist near me. Short, blunt, easy for an exact match keyword.
And today?
Today, a user might ask a full sentence like, Who is a knee specialist near me that accepts Blue Cross and does dry needling?
Right. Super specific, very nuanced, natural language.
And that's exactly where phrase match it completely collapses.
It just shatters under the weight of that complexity.
It does. It was built for word order, for syntax. But the syntax of a 10-word question is totally unpredictable. You can't possibly build a phrase match list big enough to catch all those high-intent variations. It's impossible.
So broad match isn't even trying to match the words anymore. It's trying to match the meaning.
Precisely. It's using those large language models, the same tech behind ChatGPT, to understand the semantics of the question. It gets the context.
So if you stick with phrase match, you're essentially opting out of this whole new wave of traffic.
You are. You're opting out of what is quickly becoming the fastest growing and highest intent segment of traffic. You're misaligned with how people actually search now.
That's a powerful point. But let's talk about the money, because that's where the rubber meets the road. We need the financial case for this. What's happening with the cost?
The cost argument is, I think, what really seals the deal here. Because, yes, broad match can still pull in some junk. That risk is there.
Sure.
But the decisive factor is pricing, and Google controls the pricing.
Okay, hit us with the numbers. I know the sources we looked at had some pretty shocking data on this.
They did.
Yeah.
So if you compare June 2023 to June 2025, broad match CPCs, the cost per click, went up 29%.
That's significant inflation.
It is. But
Right.
listen to this. In that exact same time frame, phrase match CPCs surged a monumental 43%.
43%. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not just inflation. That feels like a tax.
It feels like a tax on marketers who are resisting the shift to automation. That's the implication, yes.
So broad match is now it's the cheaper inventory.
It's as simple as that. If you're clinging to phrase match today, you are overpaying for often the exact same queries that a well-run broad match campaign could get you much more efficiently.
And the sources also mentioned something they called phrase match decay, that the quality is getting worse even as the price is skyrocketing.
That's right. Google has expanded close variants so aggressively that phrase match isn't that tight, controlled tool it used to be. It acts more like broad match Lite now.
So it's looser, less precise.
But you're paying 43% more for it. And we're seeing accounts where RAS is dropping simply because of this decay. They're paying more for a worse tool.
Okay, so does this actually work in the real world? We have an example, right?
We do. A large e-commerce account. They made the pivot, went all in on broad-only campaigns. Now, they absolutely had to do a lot more negative keyword work. We have to be honest about that labor trade-off.
Of course.
But the result, their ROAS improved by 13% at a similar volume. The cost savings and the signal advantage just bad. They clearly outweighed the risk.
That brings up the big question, though. The skepticism. Doesn't the cost of that extra labor, that constant negative sculpting, sometimes outweigh that 13% gain?
That is the critical point. And it leads us right to the guardrails. You cannot do this without guardrails.
Okay.
Broad match, even this new smart version, is incredibly dangerous if you don't set it up right. It only works if you pair it with enough conversion data, a target CPA or ROA strategy, and nonstop negative keyword management.
Broad match without conversion data is...
Financial suicide. Don't do it.
Okay. So if you meet those data requirements, what's the safe way to adopt this? How do we tap into the signals without, blowing the budget on plumbing supplies when we're a plumber?
You use Google Ads experiments. It's a 4-step process. A safety net.
Step 1.
Step 1. Duplicate an existing successful campaign. Use the experiments feature. This gives you a control group. In the test campaign, switch all your keywords to broad match and make sure you're using a smart bidding strategy.
Okay, so test against a known winner. What's step 2?
Step 2 is all about maximizing those signals we talked about. You apply all your list-based audiences, remarketing, customer match, put them in observation mode. And critically, if you have an existing customer list, exclude them. You want new growth.
And step 3 is about managing the financial risk.
Exactly. Start with a much smaller budget. About half of your original campaign is a good rule of thumb. This just limits your potential losses while the AI is in its learning phase.
Then comes the hard part.
Yeah.
Step 4, the constant vigilance.
It's non-negotiable. You have to watch your search terms like a hawk. You have to be in there daily, aggressively excluding irrelevant terms. You see plumbing supplies store, you add it to your negatives instantly.
That relentless sculpting sounds exhausting. It sounds like a full-time job. How do people scale that?
That's the main reason for the resistance. But you can automate a lot of it. There are paid tools like the Ad Pulse Close Variant Manager.
But what about free options?
There are free scripting options right inside Google Ads, and the function is really smart. You can tell a script which campaigns to watch, and then you give it a list of allowed phrases or core intent words.
And it just cleans up the rest.
Every day, it scans your search term report and automatically adds negatives for anything that doesn't contain your core phrases. It's like having an automated, real-time guardrail.
That makes this whole thing feel much more viable. Okay, let's shift focus. E-commerce is one thing, the signals are clear, but lead generation is a different beast.
A very different beast.
Broadmatch can generate a ton of form fills that are just junk. How do lead gen businesses do this without killing their sales team's morale?
That is the biggest barrier for B2B. And before we get to the fix, I should say, phrase and exec aren't dead. They're still essential for brand campaigns, competitor campaigns.
And regulated industries. Finance, pharma.
Right, where you absolutely must match a specific search. They're specialized tools now, not the default.
But for lead gen, the problem is that the algorithm optimizes for the form fill, not the qualified sale that happens weeks later.
Precisely. And the fix is absolutely essential. It's called Enhanced Conversions for Leads, or EC4L. You have to implement this.
How does that change the game?
It fundamentally changes the quality of the signal you're sending back to Google. Instead of optimizing for a form submission, EC4L matches signed-in users who saw your ad to the actual sale that happens later in your CRM.
So you're not optimizing for a lead anymore, you're optimizing for a paying customer.
You're optimizing for revenue. It's a huge distinction. The algorithm learns what kind of search query actually turns into a high-value customer, not just a quick form fill.
And what if you don't have enough conversions for that? Google has a threshold, right?
They do, about 30 high-quality customers a month. If you don't meet that, you can supplement EC4L with other strong quality signals, like qualified phone calls from a platform like CallRail. The key is just flood the algorithm with quality data.
And we've seen this combo broad match plus EC4L work in the wild.
We have. A major lead gen client did exactly this. Switched to broad, enabled EC4L and value-based bidding. At first, their cost per lead went up.
Which probably caused a little panic.
A little, but those conversions were now actual purchases, so their average revenue per conversion shot up, and their ROAS from generic search improved dramatically. It unlocked a level of scale they just didn't have before.
So, wrapping this all up, what is the fundamental shift marketers need to make in their thinking today?
The main takeaway is this. Broad match, when you use those non-negotiable guardrails, smart bidding, good conversion data, aggressive negatives, it's not a gamble anymore. It is the necessary engine to scale your campaigns efficiently.
I think it all comes down to this. Broad match is now doing more work with less friction.
That's it perfectly. One well-managed broad match keyword can now do the work of 10, maybe 20 phrase match terms, and it does it while being cheaper inventory. The days of fighting the automation are over.
So, given everything we've talked about, that phrase match CPCs surged 43%, that the quality is getting worse, we have to leave you with a final provocative thought.
If phrase match is now just an expensive, inferior version of broad match, is it time for you to pause phrase match entirely?